region. Through it, we are contributing to the broader process of nation building. Our endeavors in kinetic and non-kinetic operations have facilitated greater security. The anti-infiltration grid along the line of control and focused counter-terrorism operations in the hinterland have ensured an environment of relative peace and development in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. There is a great synergy between the Indian Army, the JKP, civil administration, CAPF, various agencies, and other states. We are also in theatre. Multi-agency infrastructure development drive is underway along the northern borders, which has enhanced our forward area connectivity. You would have seen in the car parking outside, we have a variety of weapon systems and equipment which have been procured and more are under procurement. A major impetus has also been given to upgrade and overhaul the current inventory that we are holding in terms of equipment. As far as the northern borders are concerned, I am sure you're following the report. The statement put out on the 21st of October by the Foreign Secretary, followed by the Chief of Army Staff, and yesterday the Honorable Raksha Mantri, when he was addressing the Chennai dialogue. To put it very briefly, India and China have to resolve their differences in balance areas along the line of actual control. And pursuant to the talks, broad consensus has been achieved to restore the ground situation based on principles of equal and mutual security. The consensus achieved includes patrolling and grazing to traditional areas. There is also a lot of push that we're making towards the Make in India initiative, making the Indian Army into a modern self-command, have a focus on operations, and have remained at the forefront of the drive of Making in India initiative, Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are, for this initiative, working in close coordination with the industry. In addition to the role of internal and external security of the nation, we are focusing on various development activities. Operation Sadbhavana projects are being undertaken, especially in the border and remote areas. We are providing quality education to a small number of students to study outside the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. We are offering special scholarship schemes and also a small numbers in the Army public school, residential schools, which are outside of J&K. In the end, I would like to highlight peace, prosperity, and improved security situation in J&K has been achieved through the concerted and synergized efforts of states, in which Indian Army, we are a major part, and we will continue to strive for providing a secure environment to the people of territories and responsibility. Thank you. I'll take on questions now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll request you to raise your hands for your questions. The one who is nominated, he may ask the question. Okay, Mr. Gulsimran.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Gursimran, this side from Republic TV. My question pertains to the south of Pir Panchal, the area that has been peaceful for a longer period of time. We have seen that in the recent past, there have been series of terror activities that are taking place, be it in Rajouri, Poonch, Doda, Kathua, these regions. How Indian Army is prepared to this rise in the terror activities in this region and also in Jammu and Kashmir, sir?
Okay, I think that's a very topical question. Know that this region, which has got starting from Katwa, Samba, then the districts of Rajouri, Punch, and if you look at the hinterland, say Udhampur, Riyasi, also what we know as Roda, Kishtwar, and Bhadrawa region, it's been largely peaceful for say maybe more than a decade and a half, which has got the challenge of both the international border as also line of control, roughly say about 210 kilometers of international border and about equal amount in the neighboring command. Now, what actually happened over the last 5 years in the Jammu and Kashmir is a large number of terrorists, almost 720, have been neutralized. And the results today, the agencies, the multi-agency center keeps updating the figures, stand something like 100. Now, also the recruitment figures are in single digits if you look at it on a year-on-year basis. And the adversary, therefore, finds that his narrative and the terrorism that he's nurturing is on an extremely steady decline. Some years it drops substantially. So there is a push to push the terrorists in. We have also in Baramulla and Kupwara in the last few weeks, you would have learned from our both what we put out in the media and also from the news itself. The aim appears to be to, like all terrorism is, the normal democracy processes that are there. But I must assure you the situation is under control. Our strategy is to get accurate information firstly, intelligence, all-weather surveillance on the line of control, including a host of technological infusion. Some of it you will get to see which are displayed outside. Dynamic multi-tier counter-infiltration grid and also dynamic deployment in the hinterland in synergy with various stakeholders. We have inducted additional forces as like you mentioned, once the situation started getting into higher levels of violence, they have been trained and we are confident that we will handle this situation.
Yes, Mr. Ajay Jande.
Sir, good afternoon. Ajay Jandyal from India News and NewsX. My question is that what is the level of coordination between the forces and the stakeholders, those who are operating in the Jammu and Kashmir, to ensure to fight terrorism?
Okay, like I mentioned, there's a very high degree of coordination and synergy now. In areas which were identified for occupation of additional Central Armed Police posts, almost half of it has been done. And there are some areas where the JKP new camps, as they call, had to be established. So that is underway. SOG, you would have heard statements from the JKP itself, facilitated, and we have ensures that at the ground level, the operations are launched in a coordinated manner. And I am mentioning various agencies because we need to depend or work in ensuring that the strengths of various organs of the government are synergized in achieving what we want to do. I would also like to, I've been a part of ensuring security of remote areas of Jammu and Kashmir for the last several decades, and they've done an extremely fine job. And like the previous question was, once the peace was largely good, there were the probably the PDC were drawn. Now the entire being in almost some of it has already happened. There, as far as the weapon is concerned, about 10,000 self-loading the corps commanders are there, the civil administration, the chief secretary, and all the apex level appointments of various central armed police forces, the JKP, the DGP. So that's where we understand the challenges, come up with what we need to do to achieve our aim. Thank you.
We'll have somebody from the agency, Mr. Anil Bhatt.
Sir, over the period of time, for past so many months, Army has been actually coming up with private companies and startups. That includes the Northern Tech, that includes the drone conference that was done in Ladakh. How is Army going to actually give a boost to the companies in defense sector so that new weaponry, including drones, which are being test trialed in the Northern Command in high altitude areas and down below, and how many companies have done trials and others, and what are the modern weapons that have been inducted in the Northern Army Command?
Okay, I think that's a very good question. We keep hearing about tech infusion. I would say Northern Command, since we have multiple fronts, the advantage is also of multiple terrains. We start from plains in the area of Jammu and Akhnur, thereafter get into the hills region, which has got a lot of jungle cover, thereafter get on to high altitude, then super high altitude in almost a desert-like super high altitude as far as eastern Ladakh is concerned. This is a kind of testing laboratory for various types of equipment. So that is, I think, the terrain gives us a great advantage, as also the operational challenges we have. So speaking about what efforts we are doing, we have facilitated various firms, various vendors to visit these areas, understand the conditions firsthand, and as far as the user, the formations, and the units are concerned, we are able to give out the problem statements as to what we expect of technology. And one more enabler in this is the academia, who thereafter kind of assist in translating the problem statement into what the technology can provide. So that's how we are trying to facilitate and get into the helping the industry understand our requirement and get the products that will help us.
Yeah, Mr. Sominder.
It's pertaining to the same thing that you have given many problems according to the operation needs to these industries. Have they been able to fulfill those or come up with a solution to those operational problems, or new equipment or unique equipment they have given you?
Okay. I think very aptly realizing we have in 2016 got an organization called the Army Design Bureau, which most of you would be aware of it. And we have given 2024 as the year of technology absorption. We understand that technology is extremely critical now in the warfare that are happening all over the world. Technology has driven certain amount of changes, both in the way the wars are fought, also in the tactics, techniques, and procedures that flowed from there. The ADB acts as a hub in Delhi, and spoke is each of the command headquarters, which help us in getting ideas from field to the academia and also to the industry that I mentioned. If you are looking at numbers, I think last figure was 135 areas where we wanted the technology, the industry to fill the gaps, and we found some very good responses. And we have also, in addition to that, taken up in the ideas and innovation competitions in the IDEX challenge, a total of 93 industrial research and development projects. They are in various stages of development. And if you go to the ADB website, you will realize that there are a number of funding and also possible. So that's the way in which we are going. The response has been quite good. And we also make it a point to visit the premises of the manufacturers, the vendors, and so on to understand what is the level of sophistication and what we can expect them to deliver. Thank you.
Next, yeah, Mr. Yogesh.
Technology observation. And from past, we have seen that Army constantly adopting new technology. And what is the larger aim of Army to include this? And what is the strategy, larger strategy behind this technology observation?
Okay, like I mentioned in the lesson, if we have to take major lessons from the wars that are raging in the world, that disruptive technologies come to stay. And we realize that, and we need to adopt those technologies. We are in the process of doing it. And in that, what is heartening is almost 12,000 medium, small, and micro enterprises in the country, accounting for almost 30% of national GDP, are this category. And they are the ones who got a lot of energy, the youthfulness, the technological prowess. And ADB, like I mentioned, is just about 8 years old. It provides as an interface. And while I just said 8 years, I do know the figures that they are now working with a number of industries. There are 438 projects worth almost 2 lakh crores with 500 plus industries which are on. And this also includes several academic institutions. I know for sure Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, the Chennai, the one in Jammu, Ropert. In all this, there's excellent talent available, and that's how the projects have been undertaken. We are looking at key areas that we would be seeking as we go ahead. It could be drone, counter-drone system, AI, robotics, looking at precision munition, loiter munition, protected mobility, both in terms of vehicles, individual protection, and communication, electronic warfare equipment. A whole lot of changes have come into these domains, and we are looking at solutions in this. Thank you.
Next question, please. Yes, Mr. Raman Saini.
हाय सर, मेरा नाम रमन सैनी है और मैं इंडिया डेली न्यूज चैनल से हूँ। मेरा सवाल सर जवानों की ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर है। हम सबको मालूम है कि उत्तरी कमान के पास बहुत सारे ट्रेनिंग कोर बैटल स्कूल्स जो हैं वो यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं, जहाँ पर नॉर्दर्न बॉर्डर्स पर डिप्लॉयमेंट से पहले एडवांस लेवल और क्वालिटी ट्रेनिंग जो है इन जवानों को दी जाती है। मैं जानना चाहता हूँ कि की फोकस एरिया जो है इस ट्रेनिंग का क्या रहता है और किस तरीके से इनकी ट्रेनिंग डिजाइन की जाती है ताकि आने वाले जो काउंटर टेररिस्ट ऑपरेशंस यहाँ पर इंसर्जेंसी के दौरान जो किए जाते हैं उसमें सहायक सिद्ध हों।
Okay, अच्छा सवाल है. It's a very good question. I'll continue answering in English. You can ask me. It's a very good question. What starts with basic training is somebody when he enters into the armed forces. Thereafter, there is training done. We classify them as collective training, annual training, and specific to terrain. What the core battle school does is once an individual is posted individually to the command or as a part of unit or subunit, we in these core battle schools orientate them to the current operational situation and also the terrain. For a simple example, a rifle which is fired, say, in the desert of Rajasthan will need to be adapted. The firing skills have to be adopted while firing in, let's say, in the terrain that you spoke of. So the key focus areas in the core battle schools is op orientation, refinement of skills, physical conditioning, firing I mentioned, mental robustness, the tactics at subunit level, the junior leadership. So these are what we stress on. And we do this by having classes, demonstrations, live situation training, simulator training, outdoor training, and so on. We also have guest lectures where officers who are already serving in these areas come and speak to the students in the core battle school.
Yes, Mr. Pankaj. You can ask in Hindi, however, the GOC in C will reply in English. Thank you.
सर पंकज शर्मा फ्रॉम न्यूज 24। सर मेरा सवाल है कि हमने देखा कि आर्मी की ओर से जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस वीडीजीज को ट्रेनिंग दी जा रही है, दी गई है, इसके पीछे मकसद क्या रहता है?
ये I think it's a very good question. When you have capabilities to train, to transfer best practices, I think it's a good thing to do. And as far as the training of the JKP and CAPF is concerned, it's to share the best practices, learn from one another, ensure that we are interoperable once we are put in field. And there are specialized training that is done, including, I think, early this year, we did for the probationary sub-inspectors of JKP. After they had done the training in the training facilities of JKP, that come in here, where in the core battle schools, we train them on issues like the operations that are launched in the hinterland and how to go about various aspects. So that is the main issue there. And as far as the BSF is concerned, which is deployed on the line of control under operational control of the army, we put them through the training as we do put an infantry battalion for training, so that they reorient to the situation on the LC, particular to the terrain that they would be serving in. In addition, we have trained the CRPF, we have trained the VDGs for the protective duties. So we do have the facilities, we have the instructors, and that's how the basic soldiering skills, firing, fitness, sharing of best practices, that's what we do.
Next, please. One more mainstream Hindi channel. Mr. Rajat, you would like to ask?
नमस्कार सर, मैं रजत बोल रहा हूँ जी न्यूज से। मेरा सवाल यह है सर, जिस तरह से आपने मेंशन किया कि हमने जम्मू कश्मीर में पिछले कुछ सालों में जो आतंकियों की रिक्रूटमेंट है वो कम हुई है, आपको लगता है कि जो जम्मू कश्मीर में भारतीय सेना के सद्भावना के जो कार्यक्रम चल रहे हैं उसका ये नतीजा है, और क्या क्या एफर्ट्स और किए जा रहे हैं जिसके कारण ये जो एक बदलाव जो है वो कश्मीर में और जम्मू में खासतौर पर देखा गया?
ओके सर, और सद्भावना मैं एक पॉइंट कवर करूंगा, अगर बाकी सवाल के लिए मौका देने के लिए अगर पॉइंट है तो फिर भी और डिटेल में बता सकता हूँ। लेट मी जस्ट कवर अबाउट द एजुकेशन इनिशिएटिव. इट जस्ट स्टार्टेड विथ प्रोवाइडिंग quality education in remote areas, inaccessible areas for the economically disadvantaged sections of the society at that point in time. And if you look at some of the photographs, even in districts of Rajouri, close to the LAC, the first set of school, one which I happened later to be posted, just started in 2 tents and 20-30 children sitting, and that is how the school started. Today, we run 43 Army Goodwill schools and there are more than about 16,000 students, about 40% of them are girls. We also employ upwards of 912 teachers, ensuring a very healthy student-teacher ratio. I mentioned about the Jammu Kashmir Special Scholarship Scheme. That is another one where we have 12 colleges, and as of today, there are about 1,250, 1,270 students who are studying there. Then I also have to mention that in the Army Goodwill School that I spoke of, one estimate which was put out by somebody who done good research was that almost 150,000 students have passed out through those schools over the last 2 decades or so. Then we have what is known as Army Welfare Education Society, which runs schools for wards of the Army personnel serving and also the ex-servicemen. Even in that, we've made a special provision. We presently have 32 students who are studying in various colleges which are run by the Army Welfare Education Society. And we have sponsored in the boarding schools of the Army Public School 325 students who go outside of J&K, stay there the whole academic session. They get education and then they come back only for holidays here. So these are the initiatives, and probably realizing that we are doing a good job of it, there was a lot of requests for training children again of the sections of society I spoke about for competitive exams. We started tentatively, took up this challenge. I know I've been part of it in some stages. Now we have something called the Ladakh Ignited Minds, Kargil Ignited Minds, Kashmir Super 50. Last to join was Jammu Super 50. And the results are astounding. 23-24 the year. We took up meritorious students, 320 of them, and trained them. And 198 of them have cracked successfully exams like JEE, NEET, UPSC, and so on. And just 2 days back, when I was in North Kashmir on a visit, I was informed that the first student from Kashmir 50 has joined the prestigious All India Institute of Medical Science. Thank you.
Next, please. Yes, Mr. Ankit Bhatt.
Sir, Ankit Bhatt, TV9 Bharatvarsh. Sir, my question is regarding Operation Sadbhavna. How does Operation Sadbhavna contribute to the women empowerment in Union Territory of Jammu Kashmir as well as in Ladakh?
Okay, very important question. And I must also mention, as far as Operation Sadbhavna is concerned, we study all the national initiatives very closely, like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, the ones related to education, health, and all that. And then we take up in our own areas of responsibility projects which we can contribute to the society. Now, as far as, like I mentioned, almost 6,000 plus girls are studying in the Army Goodwill schools. We later lay a lot of emphasis. We have very well qualified doctors, women doctors in our setup. We conduct small capsules on health for women, personal health and birth control, child care, and so on. And in this, we are also joined by the medical experts and doctors from the J&K administration. We probably provide that little bit of logistic support to be able to establish these medical camps and training. Other than that, we are also empowering the women in terms of skills, whether it's computer education, photography, candle making, bag making, carpet, basket weaving, which are particular to that particular, which are peculiar to the particular area, largely based on the demand from the population or the Awam itself. We also had a few horticulture projects, training being done, and so on. And in this, you would also be happy to know that there was a women's self-help group which came up in Kunan, Poshpora, which took up the flag-making venture to improve their livelihood and also get some skills. And the Honorable Prime Minister made a mention of this in the radio program, Man Ki Baat. These women self-help groups are also quite active in the region of Kishtwar. And of course, Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces, we have been associated with sports. We have encouraged sports in this area, like Kashmir Women Cricket League, Khelo India, Leh Marathon, Open Badminton, Basketball Tournament, and a lot of other sports activities with women participating.
Next, we'll have our friend from DD News, Mr. Anil.
नमस्कार सर, दूरदर्शन से अनिल दुबे हूँ सर। ऑपरेशन सद्भावना को ही आगे बढ़ाना चाहूंगा। ऑपरेशन सद्भावना जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख के केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों में सीमावर्ती क्षेत्र के सामुदायिक विकास की जरूरतों को कैसे पूरा करता है? क्या आप किसी हालिया परियोजना या सहयोग का हवाला दे सकते हैं जिसका बुनियादी ढांचे के विकास, स्वास्थ्य और आजीविका में वृद्धि पर सकारात्मक प्रभाव पड़ा हो?
Okay, sir. Thank you. I think what I must mention is that Sadbhavana also, we have updated our focus. We have been dynamic. At places, it was just infrastructure, but now the critical focus is on human resource development. I talked about the Army Goodwill Schools and the education thrust that we're doing in our projects. The specialized coaching that we are providing for people to pass the competitive exams, and the HR